You should consider yourself lucky if you're not too fat and you don't eat too much crap. But for some things, fat is not optional. Walruses, seals, whales. Now, those things that live in cold places. Oh, and ogres. In today's video, I'm gonna paint a miniature for a friend because he needs it for a tournament, and I gotta find a way to actually do this fast and nice so he doesn't kill me. See how I paint this big ass thing. Alright, welcome back to another tutorial. So today we have this huge miniature and I have to paint it for a friend because he needs it for one of the tournaments that we're going to play in a few next months. And this monstrous thing needs a good coat of washes and things like that so it looks outstanding on the table. Now, I'm not really happy of how he built it, so please don't kill me because I'm just going to do whatever I can with it. I haven't built the model myself. There are some gaps here, I should have fixed them, but since I want to get rid of this miniature as soon as possible so he can play with it again, I just undercoated with white. It was coated with black beforehand, and I'm just going to proceed and paint it as fast as possible. Big miniatures like these work great with washes, you shall see, and we're gonna do that right now. So the first step, we're gonna start with the metals. As usual, we're gonna paint all the metals and then we can start washing. So let's do that. The metals, as usual, I'm gonna start with my deer lead belcher and Gehenna skull. So I'm just gonna pick up the details on that and paint them as fast as possible. Metals are done, and now I'm gonna proceed to my next step. I'm gonna use Seraphim sepia to work on those metals and some of the parts of the material, namely the leather and some of the stuff that I want to paint, like wood and things like that. For this next step, I'm gonna be using Drakenhof Nightshade. I want to paint the skin, the flesh of the monster itself with a grayish tone. I'm gonna be careful not to pick up any of the fur around it. In order to do that, I'm gonna use this brush, which is a little bit more fine than the other one. On the next step, I'm gonna use Agrex Earthshade. I'm gonna use it on the fur, and in this case I think I'm gonna water it down to create a lighter effect on it. all those washes, this is where we are at. I put some of the chestnut egg in the small wounds that it has on the skin, and mostly I've used it on the leather and, you know, places like the boots there and here and there. So this is where we're standing now. I'm gonna proceed now to use brown ink in some of the other stuff, and after we're done with this, we're gonna carry on to the next step. During the process of painting, some places you will get stained. So now I'm gonna recover the white primer on these hands and places like that, so I can proceed to the next step. I'm done with the white highlights, and now I'm painting the flesh on the ogres using Raglan flesh shade, and I'm just gonna give it a couple of coats so I get a rich tone for their skin. As you can see, the miniatures are moving fast now. The miniature is quite detailed, but once you start to tackle down the big surfaces, everything else is quite easy to paint and much more enjoyable than doing those big surfaces. So I'm gonna give it 2 coats, and after that we can go to the next one. While the flesh wash is drying, I'm going to highlight a little bit the fur, and in order to do that, I'm going to use a small brush, a flat small brush with some white, and just give it like a sort of dry brush and those bristles of fur. Not much, just a little bit highlight. That will gain some contrast and give it more volume. To do some minor highlights with pure white, rather watered down, onto some places that I think will benefit from them. Basically the skin, and I will do, yes, some lines here and there just to create a little bit more of texture to it. That will create the sensation that there are some crevices on the skin besides the ones that the wash has done. I think it will look great. It doesn't take that long, and it's gonna make the miniature more attractive, in my opinion. I did that already on this marking and in some places around here, but I think I'm gonna do some more. This next step, I'm gonna use Iron Breaker in order to paint the metals, highlight them, and gain some volume on them. The miniature has a lot of metallic parts that we worked before with some washes, so we're just gonna highlight the borders of them and spikes and things like that. So I'm gonna do the silver parts, the metallic parts made of steel and iron and things like that, with Iron Breaker, and then after I do this, I'm going to proceed to highlight with Rumfang steel. Now with Rumfang steel, we're gonna give it a little bit more highlights here and there with Rumfang steel, but not too much. There's no need to overdo it now. The most important part where you're gonna highlight now is the golden parts. Do not overdo it, just pick up some details here and there, and that's it. You will have a nice contrast. Eventually you can do this as a dry brush, but I'm not a big fan of it, and I tend to not use it that much anyways. Although you've seen me using it in this video. My friend told me that he wanted the pants to be painted like piratey, you know, the typical stripe pattern, and I was wondering what colors he wanted, and he told me red. So in order to do that, I'm gonna use Fuegan orange, and I'm gonna draw the lines for the stripes. So very carefully, I will be doing that in the pants of these fatties. As you can see, I've used some of the Drakenhof Nightshade to create the shading in the white sides of the pants, and this is the best way to actually achieve a clear white by creating shading with this color. This is a nice miniature, not really easy to paint because it has a lot of details, but outstanding anyways. Ogres are spoiled with great miniatures. Alright, one pan done. Gonna do the other one, and then you'll see the next step on these pants. On this next step, I want to do something different. I'm gonna use this new ink that I got. I usually use blood letter, but in this case I want to try this color. Now, Cody Arms, you will have a link below where you can buy these new washes. Well, new washes they are. The old Citadel washes, and they work a little bit different, as you might have seen from how I was painting the fur. So it's a rich red color, and it's gonna help to make these pants pop out a little bit more. So I'm just gonna be painting on top of the orange stripes. That's it. That will be the last step on the pants themselves. Now the miniature has some places where there is some wounds, and I think I'm gonna use this paint, this wash there, just to gain a little bit more color. Otherwise it's gonna be too bleak, as if the wounds are recent or still open. Before I forget, I'm gonna put a little bit of this in the eyes as well, so I can use it as a base tone. I think the red eyes will look great on the bluish gray skin. His other miniatures have some details in green. I'm gonna use Whale Watcher's green to pick up a couple of details here and there. In this case, I'm gonna use that for the feathers on the arrows as a base coat, before I do a little bit more shading with a different color in the other arrow, which is here. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna put a little bit more dark color. Alright, time to paint these guys' mustaches and hair. I'm gonna use Nuln Oil as a base. We just need a little bit of the wash itself, and we are gonna paint the bits of hair these miniatures have, which are not that many. We're gonna further darken these with subsequent washes, but this is gonna be the base where we're gonna start working from. Okay, time to let it dry. Let's get to the next part. Using Druchii Violet, I'm gonna paint the gums of the beast itself, just to create some contrast. We're gonna give it a substantial amount of wash. Just drop it there, and if you see that you put too much, then you have to get it somewhere else. And I'm gonna use it for the eyes right here to create a little bit more contrast with the red. Now the ogres can benefit from some of this in the mouth as well. And I'm gonna put right in the eyes to create some shading for painting the eyes at the end. There's some places where I think that I forgot to paint with the washes, so I'm gonna try to fix that with this. The cushion on the seating, for instance, is one of the said places, and I think it will benefit from a different hue, because everything's kind of browny or, you know, really earth-like colored. And small details like these attract the attention, make the miniature break up into more defined spaces. It's unfortunate that the miniature was already built. I will prefer to build it in small sections so I can paint them more comfortably, but well, it is what it is. So if you have your army already built and you want to paint it, do not sweat it, you can do it. Washes are really easy to control in these kind of spaces where paints needing more precision and you being more careful when you paint will be a different business altogether. As I said before, his army has several different colors and details, and one of them is blue. So this shield will be a nice place where to work with some blue, just to get more, you know, contrast, and also to tie the theme of this miniature with the rest. Blue works really nicely with gold, so we're gonna be painting with a little bit of Gilman blue. Will do the job. Nice, there you are. I'm gonna try to let it dry flat on its side so it keeps the wash on its place. I'm gonna just use a little bit of Adrian blue on the center of the shield to darken it right here. That's creating a little bit more of volume on it. The elephant. We're almost there. These are the final touches that will give it the final appearance that we want it to have. Painting details is actually quite fun because you can see the final result already coming up. So we're done with the animal itself, the beast. Sorry, I don't remember the name. I don't play ogres. I play against them every now and then. And we got the ogres themselves painted. We have to finish the hair, and we're gonna give some details to the gold, well, the bronze here. And we're gonna paint the eyes on the ogres, give it a couple of highlights on the eyes on this thing as well. And then I think we can go into the base itself. So let's start with the hair. I'm gonna darken it with Coat the Arms ink wash. I've never used this black ink before. Hopefully it will darken it enough so it looks more realistic, but not too much so it looks like plain black. And it seems to do the job. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Looks good. I'm gonna give a couple of highlights to the eyes of the beast itself. I'm gonna use yellow. They're red. Small dot of yellow there. Cool. And another one here. There we go. I'm gonna paint the eyes on these guys. So they are dark now. I'm gonna use pure white to create a small line, pupil, right here. And after that, I'm gonna put a small dot of black in the middle of, say, the eye. So we got an iris and everything there. Carefully. We paint the eye here and there. Some people paint the eyes at the beginning because that gives them the idea of what they're going to achieve with the miniatures. I prefer to paint them at the end because that's like giving them the soul. And last but not least, I'm gonna use this technical color sparingly, not too much, and the symbol of the gaping maw to give it that bronze oxide.